In this video, we are going to discuss electrolytes. Now, we've probably all heard of electrolytes in things such as sports drinks, but what are they? Well, electrolytes are substances that ionize or dissociate into their ions when they're dissolved in a solvent such as water. Substances that are soluble in water can be divided into three major classes. We have strong electrolytes, weak electrolytes, and non-electrolytes. So let's take just a couple of minutes and define each of these. First, we have strong electrolytes. These are compounds that are soluble in water, and when they dissolve in water, they dissociate into ions. Now, what classifies or determines a strong electrolyte is that 100% of the dissolved compounds dissociate into ions. And there are two types of substances, types of compounds that are considered strong electrolytes. We have ionic compounds that are soluble in water and strong acids. So any compound, any ionic compound such as sodium sulfate, potassium nitrate, sodium chloride that is soluble in water is a strong electrolyte. And also strong acids. So for example, if you put 100 sodium sulfate compounds into water, all 100 of those would dissociate into their component ions. Same thing with strong acids such as hydrochloric acid. If you put 100 hydrochloric acid molecules in water, all 100 of those would break apart into their ions. Therefore, they're considered strong electrolytes. Now, as far as the strong acids, here are the 7 most common strong acids. So you want to be familiar with these 7. And weak electrolytes. Weak electrolytes are compounds that are, again, soluble in water. They dissociate into ions, but unlike strong electrolytes, only some of the dissolved compounds will dissociate into ions. So if you put 100 molecules of a weak electrolyte into water, maybe only 1 or 2% of those compounds would break apart into the ions. The two major classes of substances that are considered weak electrolytes are weak acids. Here we have hydrofluoric acid and acetic acid, and they dissociate into ions, but again, maybe only 1 or 2% of the compounds actually dissociate. Most of these compounds remain in their undissociated form. Same thing with weak bases such as ammonia. Ammonia can form ions when put in water, but for the most part, most of the ammonia remains in its unionized form. And so these are two classes of weak electrolytes since they don't dissociate 100%. Now there are a lot of weak acids. You can see some of them here. Generally, the easiest way to remember the weak acids is just to remember the 7 strong acids, and then any other acid would be considered a weak acid. And finally, we have non-electrolytes. These compounds are soluble in water. However, when put in water, they do not form ions, so they do not dissociate. Generally, non-electrolytes are water-soluble molecular compounds. Remember, molecular compounds are compounds made up of non-metals that are covalently bonded together. So a few examples would be something like glucose, C6H12O6. If that's put in water, it dissolves, but it does not form any ions. Here we have methanol. If you pour methanol in water, it does not dissociate. It dissolves, but it does not dissociate. So most compounds that contain carbon, generally these are considered organic compounds, are considered non-electrolytes. Finally, here we have a flow chart. This is a good flow chart which will help you determine whether something is a strong, weak, or non-electrolyte. So you might want to copy this flow chart down, and when you're solving problems regarding electrolytes, you can use that flow chart to help you determine the type of compound that it is.